This is Kurtop with you, and these are 100 alien discoveries found on different continents. A volcano spewing gold. Mount Erebus, the largest volcano in Antarctica, literally spits fine crystals of metallic gold into the air. Gold ranging from 0.1 to 20 micrometers is found in volcanic gases and up to 60 micrometers in the nearby snow. Interestingly, although other volcanoes are known for their gold emissions, Mount Erebus is the only one that releases gold in metallic form. Before you consider searching for gold in Antarctica, know that Mount Erebus releases just 80 grams daily. It's more of a geological curiosity than anything else, but knowing that volcanoes can concentrate metal may help geologists find gold deposits more effectively. What are these creepy creatures? For 150 years, the Y larva has floated in ocean plankton. It resembles a tiny crustacean, but its adult form remains unseen. Scientists drew a sensational conclusion from studying large gene sets. These creatures are distant relatives of barnacles and most likely parasites. If you add the molting hormone of crustaceans to them, the larva quickly sheds its suit and becomes a tiny slug. That's exactly how parasitic barnacles start their lives, which is why we've never seen the adult stage of this creature, because it hides inside the body of another animal. The team gathered thousands of larvae, placed them on the crustacean family tree, and revealed they form a distinct lineage with vast undiscovered diversity. In one Japanese port, they found over 100 forms. It seems that their adult stage is a hidden life inside another animal. The larva, seen as Y, is simply a vehicle. Next, attached to the host, dissolve into its tissues, and vanish from sight. That's why textbooks lack a photograph of the adult. It should have been searched for inside the prey, not in the water. When that happens, the century-old mystery will finally have an ending. Alien artifacts on Earth. History holds discoveries that defy chronology. In Turkey's Göbekli Tepe temple complex, columns feature animal carvings and abstract symbols. They're about 12,000 years old. At that time, people officially didn't know agriculture or architecture, yet we see engineering design and undeciphered symbolism here. Who built this complex and why was it later buried as if someone was trying to hide it? In South America, in Sacsayhuaman, the giant stone blocks are fitted together so tightly that you can't even fit a blade between them. Stones weighing hundreds of tons are laid with perfect precision, and they have polygonal faces. Modern technology can barely replicate such joints. So, 500 years ago, the Incas had something they themselves called the technologies of the gods. In Baalbek, Lebanon, the southern megalith is a stone weighing over 1,000 tons. No one has explained how ancient builders moved it, but this block was worked on and clearly meant for construction. The only question is by whom? Similar finds include the Ural metal spirals, the megalithic platforms of Tiahuanaco, and the perfectly drilled holes in the stones of Egypt, which give the impression of being made by high-precision machinery. All cultures have artifacts that appear invented ahead of their time. Scientists attribute this to primitive technologies, coincidence, and nature. But why do such coincidences recur globally across eras and cultures? The idea that these are alien traces is convenient not for its sensationalism, but because so many things seem to fit together. If these are artifacts from others, their purpose might have been simple: to show we aren't the first, and that everything we build today is just a faint echo of what was already here thousands of years ago. Over 400 subglacial lakes have been discovered beneath Antarctica's ice, each isolated from the world and atmosphere for millions of years. And that means life there could be completely unique and ancient. Scientists have already drilled into 2 small lakes and discovered microbial life. But what happens in the larger lakes remains a mystery, since there is no sunlight there, so microbes can't use photosynthesis. For life to be more diverse, the water in the lake needs to move so that nutrients and oxygen are evenly distributed across the Earth's surface. Wind and sun do this beneath the ice. Geothermal heat from Earth's interior can also provide warmth and movement. This heat can create currents in subglacial lakes, mixing the water and making it more hospitable for life. Evidence of a global catastrophe has been discovered. 12,800 years ago, archaeologists made incredible discoveries in northern Syria and at the bottom of Lake Assad. They found remains of houses, tools, even food that is about 12,800 years old. That's not all. Meteorite remnants and melted glass were also found nearby. Moreover, similar discoveries were made in other countries. But interestingly, there is no mention of a large-scale meteorite bombardment of Earth in official history. Analysis of these finds suggests that about 12,000 years ago, a huge number of meteorites fell to Earth, covering the Atlantic Ocean, Syria, India, and Antarctica. All along, signs of this cosmic storm were hidden in legends and beneath the Earth, where underground cities, tunnels, and traces of civilizations lay. These finds are scattered all over the globe. Are these antediluvian settlements of our ancestors, or did such a super civilization really exist? What technologies might we have lost along with the underwater settlers? Everything suggests that soon the world will need to rewrite human history again. The discovery of the oldest nuclear reactor in the world is amusing, but the first human-made reactor that produced electricity was created only in 1951. But the stone block of Oklo in Gabon was already generating nuclear energy 2 billion years ago. The story of the discovery began in 1972, when French scientists took a sample of uranium ore from a deposit in Gabon to test its uranium composition. Here, scientists made an amazing discovery. The uranium sample had less uranium-235 than normal. This meant about 200 kilograms of uranium. 235 had vanished somewhere in the mine. As it turned out, the missing uranium had gone through the process of nuclear fission and split into other atoms. It turns out that nature accidentally created a nuclear reactor, operating under very specific conditions necessary for sustained energy release. And this really happened. First, the ore contained enough uranium-235 to sustain the reaction. Second, uranium-235 naturally decays, releasing a neutron that initiates the fission process. And finally, there was enough groundwater at the reactor site to slow down the neutrons and regulate the reaction cycles. In space, physics allows for space-time to fold into tunnels, wormholes, which connect points in the universe directly, bypassing millions of light years. On paper, this is the Einstein-Rosen theory. In reality, it's still just equations, but there are too many hints suggesting that these corridors might exist. Astronomers occasionally observe strange phenomena, bursts of radiation that appear and disappear in a fraction of a second, almost simultaneously in different parts of space. Like the signal skipped its usual path and jumped instead. Such anomalies are officially called interference or rare pulsar processes. But what if these are markers of working portals? Legends have their own versions too. The Sumerians described the gates of the gods, while the Maya wrote about heavenly paths for the Star Brothers' return. Tibetan texts contain descriptions of doors between worlds that open only on certain days. Interestingly, the ancients also spoke of instant travel to places unreachable by normal means. For a civilization mastering these structures, the galaxy is no longer boundless. Instead of thousand-year journeys on massive ships, one just steps in and emerges at another star. Then the unidentified flying object phenomenon also becomes clear. They don't have to fly from far away. They simply arrive. The main question is, if these portals exist, where are their entrances? Perhaps they are hidden in black holes, maybe in the depths of the oceans, or perhaps right here on Earth, in those very places of power that have always been considered forbidden. A colony of ice fish. Scientists drilled through thick ice and lowered a camera 500 meters down. They saw tens of thousands of round nests, each about the size of a bicycle wheel in diameter. And in each nest lives an adult fish, guarding more than 2,000 of its future offspring. The cameras recorded over 12,000 fish, with the spawning area totaling about 240 square kilometers. These fish are called ice fish because of their unique ability to withstand extreme cold. They have antifreeze-like substances that let them survive Antarctica's harsh conditions. As you can see, despite the cold, life in Antarctica is thriving and bustling, an alien hand. Walking along the beach in Brazil, you can find shells, pebbles, little crabs, and an alien's hand. That's exactly what happened to a couple who decided to have a romantic walk along the shore of the Atlantic Ocean. The bony hand with long fingers looks like the friendly alien from Steven Spielberg's movie E.T., and it might seem like this is real proof of an alien's presence on our planet, even if it's not the whole thing. Leticia Gomez Santiago and her boyfriend Devo Nirsuza took a lot of photos and posted them online. After all, where can you find the best experts on any topic? Of course, on the internet. Marine biologist Eric Coleman saw the photo and debunked the myths about the discovery. He believes that the hand belongs to a member of the cetacean order of mammals, which includes whales, dolphins, and porpoises, and its terrifying appearance is due to the stage of decomposition, which lasts about 1.5 years. For many years, people have been trying to find any clear evidence of extraterrestrial life, but it always ends with a smile. Scientists who can explain a particular artifact from a scientific point of view. In this case, the discovery indicates that cetaceans, which now live in seas and oceans, used to walk on land 50 million years ago. Beneath the webbed skin of a whale's or dolphin's flipper are 5 fingers, like those in humans, amphibians, and other animals, showing a shared ancestor. Along with photos, the couple filmed the hand to show its size. The biologist believes that this is a part of a dolphin, which are very common here. Usually, such bones should not be removed from the beach so as not to disrupt the natural nutrient cycle in the ecosystem. However, scientists hurry to study recently deceased animals in order to determine the exact cause of death. It could be more than an accidental dolphin death. It might signal a mass epidemic or animal extinction from harmful substances released into the water. UFOs in the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics became a frequent topic for discussion at the end of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics' existence and after its collapse. Residents often reported strange objects in the sky. Special programs aired on television, and urban myths spread among people. Some unidentified flying object sightings were connected to secret missile tests that the general public was unaware of. In the 70s and 80s, stories about UFOs spread throughout the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. There were legends about an unidentified flying object crash in Yakutia in the 70s, an explosion of an unidentified flying object on the Crimean Kola Peninsula in 1981, and its destruction by a nuclear device in Kazakhstan in 1983. Another story tells of mushroom pickers who allegedly photographed the interior of a flying saucer, and then their traces disappeared. There are photos said to prove an unidentified flying object crash in the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, but closer inspection raises doubts. Soviet UFOs reflected mass self-suggestion rather than proof of extraterrestrial life. There were also cases in the United States when UFOs were caught on video, including footage taken by the military. For example, in July 2019, an unidentified object was spotted near the ship Amaka. The Pentagon suggests that UFOs may have an extraterrestrial origin. Astronauts on the International Space Station have seen strange objects, but these were often satellites. In the United States, there is laser equipment capable of creating plasma images, which are sometimes mistaken for UFOs. Some cases remain a mystery. What do you think is really behind the unidentified flying object phenomenon? Imagination, technology, or something else? Signals from the depths of the galaxy. In 1977, the Vogayev radio telescope picked up a signal that lasted only 72 seconds. The scientist who saw it wrote "wow" on the printout, and to this day, its origin remains unexplained. We now record hundreds of mysterious fast radio bursts, FRBs, which last fractions of a second but release more energy than an entire galaxy. Sometimes they repeat, as if someone on the other end is trying to make contact. Scientists call these anomalous natural phenomena, but the truth is, we don't know their source. If it's not nature, then who is knocking on our door from billions of light years away? Life under the ice? While collecting samples under the ice shelf, scientists discovered living organisms beneath a layer of ice more than 900 meters thick. When scientists lowered a camera into the icy abyss, they saw only a single rock, yet, to their surprise, living creatures were found on it. different types of sea sponges, and strange stalk-like organisms, which they assumed were hydroids, a type of invertebrate. Imagine that. Life under hundreds of meters of ice in conditions we thought were completely inhospitable. Here they are, these tiny creatures, challenging everything we know about life on Earth. We can only guess how long these organisms have existed here and how often they feed. Once a year, once a decade, or maybe once a century. This ecosystem could be incredibly ancient. Antarctic sponges, for example, can live for thousands of years. The oldest bridge in England. In England, there is an amazing wooden bridge from the Neolithic era. It is almost 6,000 years old. This path, called the Sweet Track, is located across the marshy area in the Somerset Levels. It is named after Ray Sweet, who discovered it in 1970. Dendrochronology determined the dating accuracy. The Sweet Track was constructed as a shortcut across the marsh and used for 10 years before being abandoned, possibly because of rising water levels. Trail discoveries include stone axes, arrows, a dish remnant, bow parts, bone hooks, and a spoon fragment. The road is about 1 8/10 kilometers long, and it connected two Neolithic settlements on different sides of the marsh. Today, Sweet Track is considered the oldest known road in England. Amazingly, the technology for making such wooden walkways has hardly changed over the past millennia. This unique discovery allows us to learn more about the lives of people in the Neolithic era and their ways of getting around. The skull of the aliens. It began when locals digging irrigation canals accidentally made these incredible discoveries. At the site, which was named El Cementerio, the remains of 25 people were found, 17 of whom were children from 5 months to 16 years old. The remaining 30 skulls are so deformed, they amaze the imagination. As archaeologist Cristina Garcia Morena explains, these skull shapes come from an ancient tradition where children's heads were bound with wooden boards. This was done in order to distinguish their social group or status. But the exact reason for this unusual custom still remains a mystery. A hospital for alien births. In 2000, while archaeologists led by Franco Gaggio searched for Napoleon's ship treasures, they unexpectedly found something else. They found the mysterious city of Heraklion, lost beneath the waters of the Mediterranean Sea. Heraklion was a brilliant trading center until the 4th century before Christ. Alexander the Great did not build Alexandria. The city was built to honor the Egyptian god Ra, though Greeks thought it was founded for the demigod Heracles. At first, it seems nothing is sacred. The city was created to destroy the ancient temple, but during the exploration of the ancient temple, divers discovered bas-reliefs depicting women in luxurious clothing holding small humanoids. These little ones were thin, with slender arms and legs, elongated heads, and huge almond-shaped eyes. Immediately, questions arise. Are the women treating aliens? Or is this an image of household gods? Or what if? Is this proof that in Berlin in ancient Egypt, aliens were conducting experiments to create human-alien hybrids? Perhaps Heracles, seen as a demigod, was really the offspring of a sky alien and a human woman. A human-alien hybrid? These questions remain unanswered. But one thing we know for sure is that history is full of unexpected discoveries, and each of them opens up new horizons and opportunities for research. Write in the comments below the video what you think about this. What are these strange images that have come down to us? Are historians really trying to hide valuable information from us? And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Remains of monsters. Researchers who have spent decades battling the harsh Antarctic conditions have discovered the fossilized remains of an elasmosaurs. These were true titans of the Cretaceous period, living alongside the dinosaurs. Scientists found most of this giant skeleton. Despite the missing head, they could still draw conclusions. This beast weighed between 12 and 15 tons and was about 12 meters long. Can you imagine that? Earlier, they found an Elasmosaurus weighing 5 tons and an Aristonaut-actes genus member up to 11 tons. However, scientists are not completely sure which genus our giant belongs to. Here's another giant that lived about 30,000 years before the extinction of the dinosaurs, which confirms the theory that Elasmosaurus lived in the late Cretaceous period. An extinct branch of humans on the high plateau. 6,000-year-old human remains were found near Bogota. Ancient DNA was extracted from teeth and dense bones, purified, and compared to large databases. There were no matches with modern peoples. The genetic fingerprint stands apart. This means that an independent group of hunter-gatherers lived in those places, which eventually disappeared from today's picture, either blending in without a noticeable trace or dying out. Small groups are vulnerable to any changes. Climate and prey change, neighbors arrive, diseases or migration begin. Over several centuries, the original picture is easily lost. In such cases, ancient bones preserve the trace, but among the living descendants, it is no longer recognizable. It's important to stick to the facts. This is not a different race and not a sensation just for the headlines. The point is that the flow of migrations took different routes and had different outcomes. To better determine this lineage's fate, we need new samples from the same layers and nearby areas. Perhaps, yes, over time, a distant kinship will be discovered. One thing is clear. Not all human branches have survived to today. Here, traces remain of people who no longer exist as distinct groups. The second sun is a theory that our sun has a dark twin. Scientists called it Nemesis after the goddess of retribution. This hypothetical star has never shown itself to us directly, but astronomers noticed an alarming pattern. Mass extinctions on Earth occur with frightening regularity, about every 26 million years. Tracking the dates reveals that an unseen force seems to send deadly comets and asteroids toward Earth in regular cycles. According to one theory, it is Nemesis that is to blame for the extinction. Its orbit takes it far beyond the solar system and then brings it back, destabilizing billions of icy bodies in the Oort cloud. Most fly into the void, but some come toward us. And every time this cycle repeats, Earth experiences a planet-wide catastrophe. Officially, it's only a hypothesis, but if Nemesis exists, humanity has unknowingly lived in a binary star system rather than with just one sun. And then the question is, where do we go from here if we have a second sun? Could it really be the true master of our fate? Atlantis at the bottom of the Caribbean Sea, June 5th, 8,500 years ago. Time, 1,300 hours. Suddenly, a mountain-sized asteroid crashes into Earth at full speed. Bang! Its 5 billion tons boil the Atlantic waters. According to one scientist from Germany, this is exactly how the destruction of Atlantis happened. The lost civilization, that they say, was flooded by waves as high as Mount Everest. The disaster site is now known as the Bermuda Triangle. Previously, scientists thought that Atlantis was somewhere in the Caribbean Sea near Bimini Island. They said that the Atlanteans were so intelligent that they could even create fire crystals to generate energy. But it seems that one of these crystals exploded and led to the downfall of the civilization. Skeptics will dismiss this as nonsense. But what about the numerous underwater discoveries, such as strange pyramids and marble buildings? The Calgante Disk. An object called the Calgante Disk, kept in the Rafael Larco Herrera Archaeological Museum in the capital of Peru, Lima, may be evidence that people in ancient times knew what the arms of a galaxy looked like. This artifact, which is believed to have been created about 2,000 years ago, looks like a spiral galaxy. But here's the catch. The number of arms on this disk does not match the number of arms in our galaxy, assuming the disk really depicts a galaxy. This calls into question many things we thought we knew about ancient civilizations. At the same time, the Calgante disk remains a mysterious artifact that raises more questions than it answers. Mummified penguins. Researchers from China discovered a cemetery of mummified penguins in Antarctica, and many of them were just chicks. Initially, scientists believed penguins couldn't survive 2 extreme precipitation periods, but penguins are accustomed to Antarctica's cold and snow, so something here doesn't quite add up. Now, scientists suggest that climate change is to blame for these mass penguin deaths. In their opinion, increased humidity caused by global warming could have led to this tragedy. It turned out that the penguins were not prepared for such conditions and died immediately. This happened twice, about 750 and 200 years ago. Scientists found this out using radiocarbon dating, and it seems the penguins didn't die immediately, but died gradually. A mysterious ocean monster lives in cold and temperate seas, a creature that's hard to imagine, a jellyfish. The lion's mane is a huge reddish dome with a cascade of thin threads. Measurements from different years show a similar picture. In large individuals, tentacles reach 30 to 37 meters, and some giants are estimated to weigh up to 1 ton. The threads form 8 fans, each with hundreds of stinging filaments. This curtain traps fish and other jellyfish. This can cause painful burns in humans. Even if the bell is distant, the name wasn't random. The tentacle bundles truly look like a thick mane around it. They don't just intimidate, they act like nets. The jellyfish captures plankton and small fish, and sometimes other jellyfish. These creatures show up near shores more often when the water is warm and food is plentiful. After contact, skin is marked by burns. Though deaths are rare, the experience is unforgettable. Title: The largest jellyfish remains a subject of debate. Some refer to a giant specimen from the 19th century off the coast of New England, while others doubt the accuracy of the measurements and remind us about the jellyfish. Nomura's jellyfish from the Yellow and East China Seas can reach about 2 meters in diameter and weigh hundreds of kilograms. During mass blooms, they clog fishing nets. Not a fish, but a true jellyfish. On the other end is the tiny irukandji, whose small bell hides a toxin that can send adults to intensive care after an unlucky encounter. Jellyfish. The lion's mane isn't a mythical monster, but part of the ocean's ecosystem. Leatherback turtles and big fish eat it, and it helps control fry and plankton populations. Encounter risk rises in warm years and during major algal blooms. At these times, heed Coast Guard warnings and avoid diving without a wetsuit. The government is secretly contacting aliens. Recently, reports about UFOs have emerged, including claims from Mexico of finding alien remains. It turned out they were just dummies, but rumors about UFOs continue to spread online. Some think mysterious forces control the planet, while others view this as a distraction from real issues. Interest in UFOs grew after former United States Navy Rear Admiral Tim Galladay claimed the American government is linked to non-human intelligence. He says this is being kept quiet. He urges disclosing information about contact with non-human intelligence to prevent top-secret technologies from giving an advantage in military conflicts. On the other hand, Elon Musk is skeptical about the idea of the existence of aliens in our part of the galaxy. He thinks that for the next few hundred years, humanity won't reach distant cosmic distances, and that aliens probably aren't interested in a small planet on the galaxy's edge. Musk is convinced that human consciousness is a unique phenomenon, and it needs to be preserved. These statements impact prominent people and spark unidentified flying object interest, but offer no concrete facts. It's amazing that people in ancient times were interested in extraterrestrial objects, and they saw UFOs and aliens in everything. As the saying goes, there's no smoke without fire, so it's impossible to be 100% sure that there are no extraterrestrial objects or beings on our planet. And what do you think? Write your opinion in the comments below the video. Is it possible that the United States government could have any contact with extraterrestrial life nowadays? An ancient fortress in an oasis. In the Khaybar Oasis in the desert of Saudi Arabia, scientists have discovered an ancient fortress wall dating back more than 4,000 years. This gigantic structure is 14.5 kilometers long and 5 meters high, with about 80 bastions, of which only 6 kilometers of the wall and 74 bastions have survived to this day. Radiocarbon analysis of charcoal remains from the excavation site indicates a period between 2,250 and 1,950 before Common Era. Remains of pottery have been found on the wall, which confirms its antiquity. This wall, according to archaeologists, was used for several centuries before it was abandoned. The wall was presumably used for protection against nomad raids, marking territorial boundaries and flood defense. This shows the local population shifting to a settled lifestyle. The construction of such a gigantic wall required significant resources, About 250 people worked on it for 4 years, using 164,000 cubic meters of stone and brick. Satellite images enabled the wall's discovery, opening new horizons for archaeological research. Giant skeletons in the archives of the 19th and 20th centuries. There are some strange notes. Archaeologists found nearly 3-meter-tall skeletons with oversized skulls and jaws in North American burial mounds, but most of these discoveries later vanished. Some blame the churches, while others blame government institutions for removing inconvenient evidence. Myths from various cultures mention the same thing. The Sumerians wrote about the tower-tall Anunnaki. The Bible mentions the Nephilim, sons of God, who took earthly women. Native American tribes told stories of battles with giant sky beings who ate human flesh. Scientists call the legends fantasies and errors. But why does this motif appear among peoples who are not connected to each other? And why is it always associated with the sky and gods? If giants really existed, then they could have been a different branch of humanity or hybrids of humans and aliens. In that case, our planet's history is not just about Homo sapiens evolving, but also coexisting with beings far bigger and stronger than the pyramids. A group of researchers discovered nothing less than 3 pyramids in Antarctica, and it seems they were not created by nature, but by the hands of our distant ancestors. Antarctica is now the edge of the world, covered in ice, but once it was an oasis full of life where even dinosaurs roamed, and our discoveries there are proof of that. 8 researchers from America and Europe went on the expedition and found 2 pyramids 16 kilometers inland and a third near the shore. The question arises, why don't we hear about this in the news? Many claim that this information is being hidden so that we are not distracted from our usual understanding of the past. And what will we see when the glaciers melt? Is it possible that besides pyramids, another sphinx is hidden beneath the ice? What do you think about this? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Mysterious signs of ancient culture. We will dive into the secrets of ancient symbols and signs which, like enigmatic fragments of ancient codes, help us better understand our roots. You've likely seen the pentagram, a 5-pointed star symbolizing magic and wisdom in Hermetic tradition, and the 5 wounds of Christ in Christianity. But the circle with a dot inside is not just a beautiful sketch, it's a symbol of the sun, a sign of life and power, found among the Egyptians and the Incas, and alchemists saw gold in it. The swastika also has ancient roots. Yes, it was a symbol of luck and prosperity, used in India, China, and Russia. And of course, let's not forget about simple geometric shapes, the square, the triangle, and the circle. In Egyptian legends, the square represented the elements of the world. In Greek mathematics, the triangle was a symbol of the Trinity, and the Chinese saw infinity and unity in the circle. A cubic, unidentified flying object scared the airplane pilot. In February 2020, a routine flight in Colombia encountered an unusual airborne object at over 9 kilometers altitude. The captain took out his mobile phone to film the metallic object moving in a straight line. The object, which looked like a cube, had nothing in common with a balloon or any other objects capable of being at such an altitude. The distance from the plane to the object has not been determined, so its estimated diameter is between 3 and 5 meters. Scientists believe extraterrestrial civilizations avoid direct contact with humanity due to fear of confrontation. The object caught on camera may be similar to a scout that ended up on Earth to observe us from a distance. It's possible that the aliens are studying us and slowly preparing to visit our planet. Whether that's true or not, only time will tell. However, experts evaluating the video couldn't agree. The object lacks wings and leaves no trail, so it's not a conventional man-made device. Skeptics suggest that the metallic cube is just a balloon that expanded at an altitude of over 9 kilometers, but physicists are convinced that the low temperature wouldn't have allowed it to rise that high. Maya and extraterrestrial civilizations. How can we explain the existence of artifacts depicting spaceships, a calendar that still works today, and perfectly smooth crystal skulls? This all belongs to a civilization mentioned in official history. Another secret could involve extraterrestrial visitors. Yes, you heard that right. The Mayan god Kukulkan, known to the Aztecs as Quetzalcoatl, was allegedly an alien from another planet. He taught the Maya such complex sciences as agriculture, mathematics, medicine, and astronomy. And the Maya also knew about planets that were only discovered a few centuries later, in the 1930s. In Guatemala, scientists discovered a sandstone head, which can no longer be studied because it was used as a target during military actions. But it adds even more intrigue to our story because its facial features are nothing like those of the Maya or other peoples of that region. And did you know that many of the Maya books that, according to legend, were burned actually ended up in the Vatican? It was their source that was used to create the Gregorian calendar, which is now used all over the world. These facts confirm the Maya could have contacted an extraterrestrial civilization. Ancient paintings depicting UFOs. UFOs. Recently, scientists have often come across images of circles and triangles on the walls of ancient temples and caves. This may seem ordinary, but the presence of flying objects in medieval religious paintings is astonishing. I'll show you 9 paintings that, according to ufologists, depict alien objects. The Annunciation with Saint Emitius, 1486. Carlo Crivelli's painting features a ray of light often seen as a divine message, though some ufologists interpret it as an unidentified flying object. The Crucifixion of Christ, 1350, a painting from Serbia's Visoki Dečani Monastery. In the painting, 2 objects can be seen in the air that resemble flying machines. The official version says that these are the moon and the sun, although in Christian tradition they are not deified. The Ascension of Christ, 1710. A work by Arento de Gilder, kept in Cambridge, depicts a disc-shaped object illuminating John the Baptist and Jesus Christ. Some believe that the artist might have conveyed hidden knowledge about UFOs. Madonna with Saint Giovannino, 15th century, by Domenico Ghirlandaio. In the painting, a man with a dog points to a flying object above Madonna's shoulder. The tapestry, Triumph of Summer, 1538, created in Bruges, is kept in the Bavarian Museum in Germany. The tapestry depicts 3 disc-shaped objects, which ufologists interpret as UFOs. The Miracle of the Snow, 1428-1432, is a work by Mazzolino de Panical. The painting shows a 4th century Rome event with disc-shaped objects in the sky. Israel, Trust in the Lord, 17th century, a painting from the Dominican monastery in Sighisoara, Transylvania. It shows a giant disc-shaped object above a burning church. The Glorification of the Eucharist, 1600, by Bonaventura Salimbini. The painting depicts Jesus Christ and God the Father with a globe, which some researchers interpret as a time-controlled device. The 17th century Crucifixion of Christ is housed in Svetitskhovili Cathedral in Mesquite, Georgia. Objects with human faces appear on both sides of the cross, which ufologists claim proves Jesus Christ's extraterrestrial origin. As you can notice, all these paintings were created in completely different parts of the world, but the objects are somewhat similar to each other. Life in icy oceans. When searching for life, we've always looked at Mars, but perhaps the most promising worlds are even farther away, beneath layers of ice. Europa, Enceladus, Ganymede. These moons look like silent white spheres, but beneath their surfaces lie oceans that are tens of kilometers deep. Enceladus has it all: water, internal heat, and essential chemical elements for life. Cassini detected geysers shooting into space containing organic molecules. On Europa, cracks have been seen where steam clouds erupt periodically. If oceans exist beneath the ice, it's the ideal place for life to develop. They might resemble Earth's squids or jellyfish, or be completely different, with forms and matter unlike anything we know. Scientists cautiously say there's a high chance of habitability, but we understand that if there really is life there, it won't just be another discovery. It will be an encounter with beings that have lived for millions of years in isolation, in another ocean, under a different sky. And then the solar system will stop seeming like it's ours. It will become shared. This ancient egg, this stone potato, measures 20 by 30 centimeters and has lain in the frozen ground. Wow, 68 million years. That means its time is the time of the dinosaurs. This object held many mysteries, and it was simply called this thing. But one day a researcher suggested that it could be the egg of an ancient creature. It seemed like nonsense, an egg with no bones inside and of such gigantic size. It was a mosasaur egg from a fearsome sea creature 17 meters long and weighing 30 tons. Scientists came to this conclusion when they found the skeletons of small mosasaurs nearby. This egg was unusual. It looked more like a giant cellophane bag that the hatchlings could easily tear underwater. It became deformed and fossilized, which is why the egg turned out so unusual. Mysterious Nubian stone tablets. Look, a huge collection of inscriptions in one of Africa's oldest written languages, Meroitic, has been discovered in the Sedinga necropolis in northern Sudan. This sandy region was once part of ancient Nubia, known for its gold mines. Nubia was home to some of Africa's earliest kingdoms, and some of them even ruled Egypt as pharaohs. Archaeologists believe that Sedinga was a key site for trade routes leading directly into Egypt through desert roads. Amazingly, archaeologists found the largest collection of Meroitic language texts, mostly memorial inscriptions, likely dedicated to death. Many artifacts in Sedinga were dedicated to high-ranking women because in Nubia, a matriarchal society following the lineage through the female line was very important. The continent continues to amaze us with new discoveries. It's scary to imagine what else awaits us in the future. I hope Africa is still full of mysteries, like the pharaoh's cell phone. This is one of the most inexplicable archaeological finds discovered in the tomb of the ancient Egyptian ruler Thutmose III. Archaeologist Amin Fahmy discovered this strange object back in 1923 during excavations in the Valley of the Kings. At that time, researchers didn't quite understand what it could be, so they placed the item in a museum. 100 years later, they decided to return to it to study it thoroughly. The device shocked scientists with its resemblance to a modern mobile phone. It was a thin rectangle made of gold and jade, with symbols engraved on it that resembled buttons. Could there really have been time travelers who managed to bring a modern device into the past? Archaeologists have often found bas-reliefs in pharaohs' tombs, showing ancient Egyptians holding objects resembling modern smartphones. Some researchers have suggested that it could have been a decorative ornament or a status symbol, but no one has been able to determine its exact purpose. The materials and manufacturing technology, which were unusual for that era, especially raised questions. In the early 20th century, photos of this object and its tomb quickly leaked to the press. The exotic find gave rise to many theories and speculations. Some claim that it is proof of contact between ancient Egyptians and extraterrestrial civilizations or time travelers, while others believe it is a joke or a hoax. Despite numerous studies, the pharaoh's mobile phone remains a mysterious artifact with no analogs in the history of archaeology. This discovery inspires scientists to pursue new research and consider the mysteries of ancient Egypt. Martian connection. This mineral was first discovered by the rover Opportunity on Mars in 2004. Jarosite, a mineral known on Earth since 1817, was once thought to be only of terrestrial origin. It needs water, iron, sulfate, potassium, and acidity to form, all present on Earth but seldom found on Mars. However, Mars has far more jarosite than Earth. So the question arose, how could it have formed there in such large quantities? The particles found on Earth were cracked and had no sharp edges, which indicates that they formed and broke down inside the ice. And here's where it gets really interesting. Scientists suggest that jarosite forms on Mars in the same way. Heron of Alexandria's steam toy. In the 1st century AD, the inventor Heron demonstrates a device that looks like a trick, but in reality it's pure physics. A copper sphere is mounted on an axle and hangs on a support. A tube runs down from the sphere to a vessel with water, and 2 small tubes are inserted into the sphere, each bent in different directions. Heating the water beneath the sphere creates steam, which exits the nozzles and causes the sphere to spin. This is jet propulsion in its simplest form. We're used to seeing steam engines in 19th century textbooks, but the principle was demonstrated in antiquity. Heat water, get motion. Heron's second invention is more impressive than the automatic door. In the temple. Here's how it works. A fire heats air under the altar. raising pressure in a sealed vessel and pushing water through a tube to another vessel. That vessel gets heavier and, through a system of pulleys and ropes, pulls the doors open. The doors open automatically. The priests extinguish the fire, pressure falls, water siphons back, the counterweight engages, and the doors close smoothly. No magic words, just heat, pressure, and movement. Heron also made other devices, a coin-operated holy water dispenser, and water clocks, even small stages with programmed moving figurines. But it's the steam ball and the temple doors that best demonstrate the idea. Complex science often starts with a very simple visual diagram that can be explained in a minute and shown on a table. Exposing the aliens from Peru. The world community was shocked by the news about the mummies from the Nazca Desert, allegedly of extraterrestrial origin. Following the high-profile presentation in Mexico, media attention surged, but Minister of Culture Leslie Urtiaga of Peru said things were more complicated. According to her, these remains date back to the pre-Hispanic period. As it turned out, these are ancient bone remains, not aliens. Journalist and ufologist Kami Moissan disagrees, insisting the 1,000-year-old 60-centimeter remains are aliens. The secret of these mummies has been discussed at the state level for many years. Urtiaga admitted, "We knew about this discovery much earlier." However, in Peru, there is still no clear understanding of what these mummies are. Scientists claim that these could be real ancient mummies, some fragments of which reached fraudsters, add to the intrigue. We learned about remarkable archaeological finds and mysterious traces possibly left by aliens in ancient times. But is that really the case? Such research reminds us of the richness and diversity of our history. An alien ecosystem on the remote Puna de Atacama Plateau in the Atacama Desert, located at an altitude of more than 3,650 meters on the border of Argentina and Chile. Archaeologists have discovered a unique ecosystem with crystal-clear lagoons surrounded by salt flats. Rain rarely falls in this region, and the sun creates extreme conditions. Last April, geologist Brian Hynek and microbiologist Maria Farias discovered the lagoons while analyzing satellite images and decided to investigate them. Despite the difficulty of the journey, the researchers discovered 12 lagoons with a total area of 10 hectares, surrounded by barren mountains. And under the water, there were green hills. Stromatolites are microbial communities that form large fossils. These structures are similar to Archean-era stromatolites when Earth's atmosphere had little oxygen. Kinnock believes that this lagoon may be one of the best examples of early signs of life on Earth. In the lagoons of Atacama, the formations consist mainly of gypsum, a mineral often found in fossil stromatolites. Kinnock noted that the conditions in the lagoon resemble those of ancient Earth. Lithium will be extracted in this area, so the unique ecosystem will most likely be destroyed. Unidentified flying object on the cover of an 18th century book. The discovery of an unidentified flying object, image on the cover of a book by Iogan Funko, published in 1716, sparked widespread debate among ufologists. This image, depicting a classic flying saucer surrounded by bright lightning, is seen by many as evidence that alien visitors came to Earth as far back as 300 years ago. Despite disagreements about whether alien visits actually occurred in the 1700s, the discovery confirms that people of that time were also not interested in the idea of extraterrestrial civilizations. As always, people are divided into two types. Some believe in UFOs, while others are skeptical about such assumptions. Ufologists wonder about the technological development of aliens. If we assume that they really visited Earth in the 18th century, then how did their technology remain unchanged for 3 centuries? This refers to the shape of the alien spacecraft. Fiery teachers. In the iconography of different eras and peoples, there is a strange coincidence. The figures of gods, prophets, and teachers of humanity are almost always surrounded by a radiance. Egyptians had solar discs on their heads. The Maya had flame-shaped halos. Byzantine icons showed golden circles around faces, and India depicted full auras of fire. The official version sounds simple. It's a symbol of divinity, holiness, and inner light. But there are too many details that make you think. Mesopotamian reliefs show gods in garments they seem to radiate from. Peruvian frescoes depict rays as straight lines, like from a light source, and some texts say they shone so brightly people couldn't look at them. Is this describing an aura or actual light from something like lamps, spotlights, or helmets? In some images, it is noticeable that the rays do not come from the head, but from an object that resembles a helmet or a mask. Sumerian gods are depicted with large eyes as if behind a clear visor. In Indian accounts, gods descend in shining shells that protect their bodies from heat. To modern ears, this suggests spacesuits. When all these fragments are combined, the picture changes. The fiery teachers could have been real beings who descended to people in protective suits and with sources of light. For ancient people, it was a miracle. For us, it's technology. Iron spheres at the bottom of the ocean. A German research vessel in the Atlantic waters set out to search for marine creatures between South America and Africa, but stumbled upon something completely different. On the ocean floor, they discovered dozens, hundreds, thousands of metallic spheres, each the size of a bowling ball. It was the largest deposit of manganese nodules ever found in the Atlantic Ocean. Manganese nodules, which often look like pancakes, can be found in every ocean, but the largest ones are usually found in the Pacific. These nodules in the Atlantic were special. They were round, which is quite unusual. Scientists think these nodules have formed over millions of years, growing 1 centimeter per million years. The largest, 10 million years old, rest 5,000 to 5,500 meters deep in the Atlantic Ocean as round nodules several meters wide. Researchers in Antarctica have found a massive crater, likely created by an asteroid. And who knows? Maybe it was this cosmic collision that influenced the evolution of dinosaurs. Scientists think the asteroid impact in Antarctica was even more significant than the one that killed the dinosaurs. This may have led to catastrophic destruction at that time. The disaster claimed many lives, but as it turned out, it not only took lives, but also gave them. This crater, more than 300 miles wide, was created by a massive asteroid about 250 million years ago. Scientists think this asteroid impact may have contributed to a global species extinction on Earth. However, this catastrophe may have set the stage for dinosaurs to emerge. Due to this disaster, one winner was the Archosaur, ancestor of dinosaurs. The Lalad Plate. The Lalad Plate is a stone dish that is about 12,000 years old. It depicts a disk that resembles an unidentified flying object and a being that looks very similar to the modern idea of an alien. You can also see a spiral galaxy. According to the scientist David Gaiman, the disk was purchased in the city of Mussoorie in northern India and belonged to the strange Zopa people who use such disks during religious ceremonies. However, he later admitted that he made up the whole story, including creating a sketch of the disk, which his friend then turned into a black and white picture. Amazing artifacts constantly remind us that there is still much we don't know about the place where we live. We know Earth's mysteries will eventually be solved. Legends of the Star People. Among the Native Americans, many indigenous cultures have legends about the Star People, who, according to these tales, came to Earth from outer space. These mythological stories embody the ancient encounters of the continent's indigenous people with beings from distant stars. Such stories are especially prominent in the culture of the Plateau tribes of North America. According to their beliefs, star people not only visited Earth, but also shared knowledge with the Native Americans, helping them adapt to life, teaching them farming, healing, and even spiritual practices. One of the legends tells how the star people descended to Earth on shining silver discs, attracting the attention of the Native Americans with their light and sound. These visitors were friendly and shared wisdom and knowledge with the tribe. There are also legends that some of the Native Americans went up to the sky with the star people and returned, enriched with new knowledge and experience. Interestingly, these tales share common features with myths from other cultures around the world. However, while for most researchers these stories are just myths born from human imagination and the need to understand the universe, some say they could be proof of ancient contact with extraterrestrial life. Lost ancient cities. Archaeologists have discovered ancient cities in the Amazon rainforest where up to 30,000 people may have lived about 2,000 years ago. This was reported in Science. Using ultrasonic LiDAR, a team led by Stephen Royston from the French National Center for Scientific Research explored the area and found many structures and roads underground. Before the Spanish arrived, the Quilomope and Upanu lived here. Royston called this place the Lost Valley of Ancient Cities, emphasizing its uniqueness. Royston said that the discovered cities, built over a vast area, included residential and public buildings surrounded by agricultural fields with drainage canals. Roads connected the cities, some of which were up to 20 kilometers long. Royston notes the locals used clay rather than stone for construction. These cities existed from 500 before Christ to the 300-600s AD. It coexisted with the Roman Empire in Europe for about 1,000 years. The Alaskan Triangle is a secret alien base. The Alaskan Triangle is a sparsely populated area located between Juneau, Anchorage, and the small town of Barrow. According to official data, since 1970, more than 20,000 people have disappeared in this analog of the Bermuda Triangle. Researchers report strange paranormal activity, and some are convinced that aliens live here. Aliens use secret underground bases and proximity to people to spy on military technology, explaining strange events in the post-World War II rise in unidentified flying object sightings. The disappearance of 44 servicemen from a Douglas C-54 aircraft may only confirm this assumption, since search and rescue operations yielded no results. It may seem that all of this is groundless speculation, but in 1995, declassified documents revealed that the highest point of the Alaskan Triangle, Mount Hayes, is mentioned in a top-secret government project called STARS. The documents not only mention aliens, but also claim that there was a base beneath the mountain's foundation. No one has ever physically been there, but the CIA used an experimental research technique called remote viewing. The method of psychic projection allowed people with supernatural abilities to look into any place without physically leaving the CIA building. While working on the project, the most outstanding psychic was named Pat Price. He was the first to confirm the presence of aliens hiding deep under a mountain in the middle of Alaska. The psychic's predictions were amazingly accurate, as were his drawings of what was under Mount Hayes. The alien base had a clear structure consisting of tunnels, and CIA agents knew about it. Soon after what he saw, Pat began to fear for his life, telling his loved ones that he had put himself in danger. Sadly, the psychic was correct. He was accidentally pushed in a Las Vegas hotel. The sharp pain in his leg did not cause concern, but in the morning the man died. It's also shocking that the hospital didn't inform the relatives and just cremated the body. Heavenly stones, Pythonim. For billions of years, our planet has attracted many meteorites, and people have always collected their fragments. One of these is the Sky Stone, or Heavenly Stone, discovered in 1990 by archaeologist Angelo Pittoni in Sierra Leone. Local legends say that these stones were beings living in the heavens, whom God turned into stones and threw to earth for their transgressions. Pittoni sent the stone for analysis to labs in Rome, Germany, and Tokyo. The stone was composed of 77% oxygen, 20% carbon and lime, and there were traces of silicon and other materials. The analysis showed the stone is unlike any on Earth and likely arrived between 2,500 and 17,000 years ago. An antenna at the bottom of the sea. In 1964, the research vessel United States naval ship El Tanin was exploring the depths of the Southern Ocean and accidentally took a photo of something mysterious. At a depth of 3,900 meters, the camera captured an object resembling a radio antenna, which some believe is yet another stray signal from extraterrestrials. The news quickly spread through the newspapers, and everyone decided it was proof of extraterrestrial intelligence. But it turned out to be not so simple. After some time, scientists discovered that it wasn't alien technology. In fact, it was a deep-sea sponge that really did look like an antenna from a distance. As it turned out, nature has its own design style too. Admiral Byrd's expedition. It began with books by Amedeo Giannini and Raymond Bernard, who proposed the unusual theory that Earth is hollow. They claim that Byrd, during his expeditions, didn't just fly over the poles, but entered giant hollows inside the planet. Ufologist Ray Palmer fueled even more interest in this theory by presenting it in his magazine Onlo. He sparked a real storm of discussion. Giannini, Bernard, and Palmer say Byrd claimed he traveled 3,700 kilometers into the Earth via the South Pole. Before he died, he hinted at a magical continent in the skies, a land of eternal mystery beyond the poles, with rain, rainbows, and a lost civilization. These references support their version that the Earth is shaped like a donut with huge depressions at the poles, inside of which there are unexplored lands and possibly even secret, unidentified flying object bases. Global warming is just starting to reveal the secrets of the icy continent. As glaciers melt, more mystical discoveries will emerge. Eternal memory in glass. Imagine a thin plate of quartz glass with a laser making tiny marks inside it, like dots. But in 3 dimensions, these marks can be rotated and made stronger or weaker. That's why one plate can store so much information. Roughly speaking, it's not just a single flat track like on a disk, but a whole multi-layered archive inside the glass. The main feature is durability. Glass resists rust, water, magnets, and time. Calculations and tests show that such a medium can withstand heat, humidity, and be stored for an incredibly long time. This isn't just a flash drive. It's an eternal cold archive where you record and forget for tens of thousands of years. A laser records data inside. When reading, light shines through the glass, a camera captures the mark patterns, and software restores the files. This method stores not just documents, but also videos on glass for playback. The main benefit is easy storage. The plate can stay on a shelf for years and be read anytime, making it ideal for family archives, film libraries, and time capsules. Traces of fire under megaliths. Under many ancient megalithic structures, archaeologists find charred layers, but these are not remnants of campfires. The temperature was too high for ordinary people to have created it. Some stones appear melted as if exposed to plasma or intense energy. At Pumapunku in Tiwanaku, Bolivia, there are marks on the basalt slabs as if they were cut with a red-hot tool. In Egypt, blocks show melted edges, even though there's no fire or volcanism present. Scientists claim this was due to random natural processes, but the temperature clearly surpassed any natural fire. There are so many coincidences, it's as if ancient times used energy as strong as or stronger than modern plasma cutting. Then megaliths stop being tombs or ritual structures. They become traces of work with technologies that people simply didn't have. A 70,000-year-old bracelet. Scientists believe that this bracelet, which is 65 to 70,000 years old, was created by Denisovan, an ancient type of hominid, close to but different from Homo sapiens and Neanderthals. If confirmed, the bracelet's creation date must be moved back 30,000 years. It was found in Siberia, and it may change our understanding of ancient human development. It is already forcing scientists to reconsider known levels of technology. For example, the bracelet has a hole made by drilling or sawing. Heavenly stones of plutonium. Over billions of years, our planet has attracted many meteorites, and people have always collected their fragments. One such sky stone, or heavenly stone, was discovered in 1990 by archaeologist Angelo Pittoni in Sierra Leone. Local legends say that these stones were beings living in the heavens, whom God turned into stones and threw to earth for their transgressions. Pittoni sent the stone for analysis to labs in Rome, Germany, and Tokyo. The stone was composed of 77% oxygen, 20% carbon, and lime, and there were also traces of silicon and other materials. The analysis showed the stone is unlike any found on Earth and likely arrived between 2,500 and 17,000 years ago. Art and relics with cosmic features. For centuries, people have created art and relics showing figures with strange cosmic features, sparking theories about possible contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. One of the most well-known examples is an ancient depiction in the Indian Vedas, where flying machines known as vimanas are described. Although most researchers believe that they are mythological or symbolic representations, some argue this proves ancient technologies or extraterrestrial involvement in cultures from Egypt to Central America. Statues and reliefs have been found depicting figures with unusual headgear resembling helmets, or with other cosmic attributes. These images are often associated with gods or great rulers who could descend from the heavens. Another example is the art of the ancient Sumerians. Some of these images depict beings that, according to some theorists, could be interpreted as extraterrestrial. Nevertheless, most archaeologists and art historians claim that such images are the result of religious beliefs, mythology, or symbolic art, rather than evidence of contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. Whatever the true meaning of these images may be, they serve as a reminder of the richness and depth of human imagination and our desire to understand and interpret the unknown around us. The ruins of ancient civilizations. Captain Robert Scott and his team came face to face with an ancient civilization. Beyond the icy wall of Antarctica, they found traces from before the flood and even filmed them on camera. Can you imagine seeing ancient city ruins, pyramids, columns, and statues in the middle of Antarctica? This ancient civilization may be older than those taught in school. The confirmation of this is a map from 1531, where Antarctica is shown without ice. It's strange because according to our history, Antarctica was only discovered by Russian explorers in 1820. Did you know the North and South Poles have switched places 171 times in 76 million years, with the last switch about 12,000 years ago? This explains why Antarctica's secrets remain hidden under a kilometer of ice. Recent reports say there is a vast network of tunnels and passages 4 kilometers beneath the continent. Mars is our second home. It seems like just a little more, and we will really reach Mars. SpaceX is already building rockets for flights. National Aeronautics and Space Administration is testing life support systems, and China is preparing for its own missions. The news is full of bold plans. The first people will land on the red planet in the coming decades. Colonies, domes, resource extraction, and greenhouses may signal a new era, but Mars also has its dark side. Radiation will kill a person in just a few months. The atmosphere is almost entirely made up of carbon dioxide, and sandstorms can last for weeks. To survive there, humanity must do more than build bases. They'll need to reinvent life itself. This isn't moving to a new land, it's existing on a hostile planet. But the real question is, what if we aren't the first there? The rover images keep sparking repeated debates. Odd rock formations resembling ruins, statues, or mechanisms. Scientists call this pareidolia, a property of our brain to see familiar shapes. But if even one of these findings is real, then the history of Mars might seem much richer. And maybe when we get there, we won't be building a new home, we'll just be returning to an old one. Off the coast of Spain, the lost legendary Temple of Heracles was found on the southwestern coast of the Iberian Peninsula. Scientists from the University of Seville managed to find the ruins of the Temple of Heracles Gaditanis, lost many centuries ago, a majestic structure that people from the farthest corners of the ancient world came to worship. Can you imagine how an ancient mythological hero can become the hero of modern research? That's exactly what happened with Heracles, who is known in Phoenician mythology as Melkart, the god and patron of seafaring and pride. LiDAR and digital modeling let scientists study the underwater world in detail from land. Ricardo Bellison, one of the researchers from the University of Seville, suggested that the remains of the majestic temple might be hidden at the mouth of the shallow Cagno de Sancti Petri channel. Marble and bronze sculptures of Roman emperors have been found here, as well as figurines from the Phoenician period, many of which can be seen today in the Museum of Cadiz. Scientists identified a 300 by 150 meter rectangular area where the temple ruins may be hidden. The unknown head from Leidenberg is a set of clay heads discovered in South Africa. They are dated to the year 500 AD and are the oldest known examples of Iron Age art south of the equator. In 1957, when he was a 10-year-old boy, Ludwig von Betzing found these heads on his father's farm. A total of 7 heads were found, 2 of them large enough to fit on a child's head, while the other 5 are half that size. They are all different, but each one has something in common. For example, the clay rings on their necks, which may have symbolized prosperity, might have been worn as masks during rituals or attached to something during ceremonies. The mummy of a gnome. Do you know the legends about little creatures that lived underground? The Ainu, the indigenous people of Japan and Native Americans, described them as short beings living in underground worlds, possibly even the prototypes of human gnomes. In 1932, gold prospectors in the San Pedro Mountains blasted a rock and found a strange mummy weighing 340 grams and measuring 46 centimeters tall. This dwarf was covered with a strange dark substance, and its eyes appeared incredibly bulging. Scientists wondered whether it was a doll, a child's mummy, or evidence of some ancient race. The mummy vanished, and its fate remains unknown. Many ufologists consider it possible evidence of a near-human or even extraterrestrial race. Where this mysterious mummy is now, no one knows. Parasite eggs that are 200 million years old, modern parasites as we know, play a key role in ecosystems. However, paleontologists from Makassarakam University in Thailand have made a breakthrough in understanding their historical presence. They studied fossilized droppings of ancient animals and found old parasites, including ascarid roundworms. This discovery followed a report by Russian scientists about the revival of an ancient worm from the Siberian permafrost. While working with coprolites about 200 million years old, scientists discovered structures. The effect was not easy to achieve. It was SOS level. However, video nonsense? Parasites from the Nakhodka period enhance our understanding of how parasites interacted with their hosts in ancient times. Unidentified flying object sighting. In 1965, at the Argentine naval base in Antarctica, nearly 20 people were amazed as they looked up at the sky in the middle of the night and saw an unidentified flying object at an altitude of 15 to 20 kilometers. This mysterious object glowed with green, red, yellow, orange, and white colors. The huge craft, more than 85 meters long, seemed heavy and hovered confidently in the sky. There were many witnesses to this event since it lasted for quite a long time. Even earlier, in 1946, the American Expedition High Jump set out for the icy shores. There is a legend that on their way they encountered flying saucers, and it is said that about 400 sailors and soldiers died in battles with them. The expedition ended after 3 months, and all materials were classified. Richard Byrd, the head of the expedition, talked about it and ended up in a psychiatric hospital. Martian coral. On July 24, 2025, the Curiosity rover sent a photo that left scientists stunned at first. On a rock, there was a shape all too familiar to us from Earth. It looked like coral, a real fossilized coral, evidence that Mars might once have had an ocean teeming with life. National Aeronautics and Space Administration was quick to explain. No biology involved, just minerals that took on a strange shape due to water and wind erosion. A rock, not an organism. Our brain sees familiar images even when they're not there. The official version sounds logical, too logical, but how many times have we heard the same thing? A stone may look like a statue, a shadow like a tower, and a shape may resemble a living creature's outline. At what point does the number of these coincidences become proof? Maybe it's really just nature's play, or maybe we're just not ready to hear it yet. The main thing is that Mars was alive, and that's exactly why we're so drawn to it, because deep down we're coming home. A round man-made object was found at the bottom of the Sea of Galilee. In the depths of Lake Kinneret in Israel, a huge sphere about 50 meters in diameter and 4,000 years old was discovered. Who made it, when, or why remains a mystery. Researchers from Tel Aviv University and Ariel University are tirelessly trying to solve this mystery. They have even proposed a new hypothesis that might explain the origin of this mysterious object. After a detailed study using sonar and analysis of natural deposits, the scientists determined that this is a giant sphere made of large pieces of basalt, located at a depth of about 12 meters. Previously, scientists thought it might be the biblical city of Miriam, Moses' sister, who aided the Jews' survival in the desert. But now researchers are suggesting a completely new idea. Remember the legend of Akhat, the great hunter with a magical bow who was killed by a jealous goddess. This legend claims the father searched long for his son's body, found him, and buried him in the Sea of Galilee. Now, scientists want to understand what is hidden inside this giant sphere, so they plan to conduct underwater research using an ultrasound device. A petrified bullet. In Crimea, a mysterious bullet that is 2,200 years old was found inside a stone. Yes, you heard right, a bullet. Firearms and gunpowder hadn't been invented yet. Researchers found a bullet inside an ancient stone after it split open. How did it get there? This discovery could change all of history. Could a bullet from the future have ended up in the past and lain in the ground for several millennia? In any case, the artifact is shrouded in mystery, and we can only guess what really happened. And what do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments. The Full-Figured Woman of Saliagos. The Full-Figured Woman of Saliagos is a unique testament to the ancient culture that flourished in the Cycladic Islands during the Neolithic era. Its discovery has uncovered many secrets about this ancient society's lifestyle, religion, and art. Saliagos, despite its small size, played a key role in the early history of the Aegean region. In addition to its role as a connecting isthmus between Antiparos and Paros, it was a center of production and trade, as evidenced by the finds of obsidian tools that exceeded local needs. The ceramic vases discovered on the island provide insight into the design and style of the era. Their patterns and shapes reflect a creative approach that may have had religious or cultural significance. For the inhabitants of Saliagos as a whole, the discovery on Saliagos provides invaluable information about the ancient world of the Aegean region. Archaeologists made a stunning discovery in Antarctica: remains of people with elongated skulls. Similar skulls have also been found worldwide, including in Peru, Egypt, Russia, the United States, and Europe. Scientists discovered that people deliberately shaped their children's skulls from birth. But here's the mystery. Different peoples who lived vast distances apart, possibly even without any contact with each other, did this. And the question of why remains unanswered. Maybe people were trying to gain superpowers this way, or emphasize their status, or wanted to look like gods. Maybe it was a trend like tattoos or piercings today. It's creepy, but today in some South American tribes this tradition still exists. Mami Kanabesvik. Fear of being buried alive isn't just myth or legend. Taphophobia, the fear of being buried alive, concerned many famous people like Chopin and Gogol. However, the story of Hannah Beswick, a resident of Failsworth in the 18th century, is particularly striking. Hannah was shocked when her brother John, in a cataleptic state, was found alive at his own funeral, narrowly avoiding being buried. This incident affected Hannah so much that she took unusual measures to protect herself. She turned to Dr. Charles White to make sure she was truly dead before burial. Dr. White, known for his interest in pathological anatomy, made the unusual decision to embalm Hannah's body. He removed all the internal organs and replaced them with a preserving mixture. In this way, he ensured that Hannah would not come back to life in the coffin. However, after Hannah's death in 1758, her body was not buried. Rumor had it that Dr. White used the money set aside for the funeral for his own purposes. Hannah's body was long stored in an unusual container, a large wall clock case, before later being moved to the Manchester Museum of Natural History. Only more than 100 years after her death, in 1868, Hannah Bestwick was officially declared dead and buried in the Manchester Cemetery. Interestingly, after her burial, many claimed to have seen her ghost, but it never harmed anyone. The first battle with the aliens has already taken place. On August 26, 1946, an American scientific team departed for the South Pole. It was led by naval officer and explorer Admiral Richard Byrd, who had participated in World War I. The expedition involved 13 ships, 33 airplanes, and nearly 5,000 United States Navy soldiers. The group under the Admiral's command returned only after 9 months, reporting that they had to engage in combat with remnants of the Third Reich, and possibly with extraterrestrials. A flying object attacked the expedition members and caused major damage to the American group. Byrd stated in his report that he saw an unidentified device capable of moving at incredible speed, almost instantly changing its position. At that time, the Admiral's statements, despite his high status, seemed like fiction. However, in 2018, a satellite image made it possible to see a contrail left by something moving at incredible speed. The trail spanned the globe, linking the South and North Poles, about 20,000 kilometers. The maximum duration for the trail and its shape to remain is 30 minutes, while most of it starts to dissipate after just 15 minutes. Based on the data obtained, we can say that the object that left the contrail was moving at a speed of at least 80,000 kilometers per hour, which is 10 times faster than the speed of the fastest airplane that existed at that time. Fragments of alien technology. Harvard University professor Avi Loeb suggests that he found particles of extraterrestrial technology in a meteorite that fell off the coast of Papua New Guinea in 2014. These fragments were delivered to Harvard for research, and the United States Space Force Command confirmed with a probability of 99.999% that the material came from another solar system. Loeb and his team went to the meteorite impact site on the ship Silver Star. They discovered 10 centimeters of metallic spherules, colored gold, blue, and brown, some of which resembled miniature Earths. Analysis showed that the spherules contained 84% iron, 8% silicon, 4% magnesium, and 2% titanium. Loeb emphasized that these materials are stronger than any space rocks ever recorded by National Aeronautics and Space Administration, and were moving at a speed of 60 kilometers per second, which is faster than 95% of all stars near the Sun. These results suggest a possibly artificial nature of the spherules, which could provide unique insight into materials beyond our solar system. The researchers suggest that the spherules may be part of a larger discovery, which they plan to investigate in future expeditions. Cave paintings of Valcamonica. In the Valcamonica Valley, located in northern Italy, there are over 200,000 cave paintings created by various cultures over the past 8,000 years. These engravings are a unique testament to ancient civilizations, depicting their rituals, social structure, and daily life. However, among the many traditional images of animals, dancing people, and symbols, there are several engravings that attract special interest from researchers. Some of them resemble figures dressed in strange costumes that look like spacesuits, with details similar to helmets, antennas, and other devices. These drawings have given rise to many speculations. Some claim that they could have been created after the ancient inhabitants of Valcamonica made contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. Such theories often rely on the appearance of these figures, arguing that ancient people might have depicted extraterrestrial beings or even astronauts whom they encountered. However, most scientists tend to believe that these engravings may represent ritual or symbolic images, possibly related to the religious beliefs or rituals of that time. Scientists always have the same opinion. If a discovery cannot be explained, then it must be connected either with something extraterrestrial or with an ancient ritual. Scientists discovered a mysterious cave in Antarctica through Google Maps, a mysterious object that is not just an object, but a cave hidden beneath the glaciers. Scientists posted a YouTube video showing the cave's vault. Some believe the cave might be man-made. The video shows a perfectly shaped vault, 23 meters high and 76 meters wide. Scientists noticed strange paths and steps at the entrance to the cave, which gives reason to think about their artificial origin. Others think that this is a secret facility for UFOs or a top-secret military base. There are also those who believe that these are the remains of architecture from an ancient civilization. Official science is silent for now, but everyone agrees on global warming. Antarctica will reveal many more secrets. Tombs are not for people. Archaeologists often interpret finds using familiar frameworks, like assuming a stone box is a sarcophagus. However, Egypt and Peru have burials that don't match typical human dimensions. In Saqqara, granite boxes weighing 60-70 tons were crafted with jeweler's precision. They're so large inside that a person would look tiny, and several people would still be uncomfortable. What were such sizes for? On the other side of the world, in the Andes, tiny stone sarcophagi have been found. Their proportions so small that an adult body simply wouldn't fit in them. The official explanation is these are children's burials or symbolic rituals. But why are they crafted like royal tombs? That's another mystery. An emptiness. Many of these sarcophagi contain no traces of burial, no bones, no funerary objects, as if they were never used as tombs. And then a theory emerges that these are not tombs, but capsules. Containers in which those who were not human were once stored or transported. Too big, too small, different. Perhaps this explains why myths from nearly all cultures mention gods from the sky. Stones, bones, myths, and stars form a single mosaic. We are just a part of a much bigger story, and the question remains, not whether they exist, but when will they return again? Thank you for watching this video until the end. Goodbye, subtitles.